Thank you all for listening and watching my videos. Please subscribe and like my channel Master Coolitz. Hoping that you will not skip my ads, it's a big help for me by not skipping it. Thank you so much. Dragon Shadow. The Rise.
The tension in the air was palpable as the characters gathered, their voices filled with malice and anticipation. The scene unfolded with a sharp intensity that kept everyone on edge.
Ha! Master Gideon, letting Larry Shaw live is a waste. Kill him now and avenge Drake.
Aaron's words were like fuel to a fire. Master Gideon, already simmering with anger, found sense in the suggestion. Even if Larry Shaw was unable to clear the test, he would still be alive inside.
You're right, I'll give him a quick death myself.
He moved forward, his eyes blazing with intent, but Katie intervened swiftly, stepping in front of him, her eyes reflecting a mix of urgency and concern.
Master Gideon, the test isn't over yet. You can't interfere.
Master Gideon's frustration boiled over as he tried to push past her, his hands clenched into fists.
Do you think I'll let Larry Shaw rot inside until he dies of old age? Get out of my way.
Their heated argument was abruptly halted by Madame Evelyn's calm yet commanding voice, her presence demanding respect and attention. She stepped forward, her expression stern, silencing the growing commotion.
Stop arguing. Look at the screen.
All eyes turned to the screen where Zane Martel stood before a towering sculpture. The ancient statue loomed over him, its surface covered in intricate carvings and worn edges that told of centuries past. Zane walked around it, examining every detail, his mind racing with possibilities. The room around him seemed to hold its breath, the air thick with suspense.
Bow down to heaven. What right does it have? I only kneel to heaven and my parents. Now I have to kneel to this?
With a hesitant resolve, Zane Martel bent one knee to the ground, his heart pounding like a drum in his chest. The room was silent, every eye glued to the screen, watching his every move. As his knee touched the cold stone floor, a low rumble began to emanate from the statue. Suddenly, the sculpture began to shake violently, sending vibrations through the ground. The ancient carving seemed to come alive, the stone creaking and groaning under an invisible force. The air was filled with a deafening buzz, like the hum of 1,000 bees. The violent shaking grew more intense, dust and small pebbles falling from the statue. The spectators outside watched in a mix of awe and fear, their faces reflecting the surreal spectacle unfolding before them. Master Gideon's anger momentarily turned to confusion, his brows furrowing as he tried to comprehend the unexpected reaction of the statue. Katie's eyes widened, her breath caught in her throat as she took a step back, her mind racing to understand what was happening.
What? This didn't happen during my test.
Aaron's face twisted in disbelief, his eyes narrowing as he tried to make sense of the anomaly. The realization that something unprecedented was occurring settled over the crowd, adding an edge of panic to the already tense atmosphere. Whispers began to spread among the spectators, each voice filled with confusion and fear.
How is this possible? Larry Shaw doesn't have the Northern Demon Country's bloodline.
Master Gideon's face contorted with rage once more, his voice trembling with anger. The situation was spiraling out of control, and he felt his grip on the narrative slipping. The ground beneath his feet felt unstable, mirroring his emotions.
Larry Shaw, you'd better die in there. If you come out, you'll regret it.
Madame Evelyn, usually composed, furrowed her brows in deep concern. Her intuition screamed that something was terribly wrong, and the reaction of the statue was unlike anything she had ever witnessed. She stepped closer to the screen, her eyes scanning every detail, trying to understand the source of the disruption.
What's happening? Is this the reaction they mentioned?
Determined, Zane Martel tried kneeling again, but an unseen force seemed to reject him. The sculpture shook more violently, cracks appearing from top to bottom. The ground beneath him seemed to pulse with energy, resonating with the intense vibrations coming from the sculpture. The air was thick with tension, each second feeling like an eternity. Crack, crack. The statue split in two, rocks falling in a desolate crumble. The ancient stone, once a symbol of unwavering strength, now lay in ruins. The force of the collapse sent dust and debris flying, creating a thick, choking cloud that swirled around Zane Martel. Outside, everyone gasped in disbelief, their faces reflecting a mix of awe and terror. unable to fathom the events unfolding before their eyes. The dust settled slowly, revealing the full extent of the destruction. Madame Evelyn's usually calm demeanor broke, her eyes wide with shock. The ancient sculpture, a revered artifact of their lineage, had crumbled under the weight of Zane Martel's presence. Her hands clenched at her sides, her mind racing with the implications.
Who is Larry Shaw that even our ancestors' sculpture can't withstand his bowing?
Master Gideon, furious, shouted in rage, his voice echoing through the room. His fury was palpable, the veins in his neck bulging as he struggled to contain his anger.
He broke our ancestors' sculpture. This man deserves to die.
As Zane Martel bowed deeply to the shattered statue, the head exploded with a final resounding boom, and the body collapsed into gravel. Amidst the dust, a stone gate appeared, its presence imposing and mysterious. The gate stood tall and unwavering, contrasting sharply with the rubble that lay scattered around it.
The passageway is open?
His eyes lit up as he pushed the stone door and stepped out into the light, where Katie and the others awaited. The light was blinding, but Zane Martel's heart was filled with hope and anticipation. Each step he took felt like a step towards destiny, the air around him charged with potential.
Hey, I'm out. That statue of yours is really strange.
Katie nearly choked, trying to process Zane Martel's casual demeanor. The contrast between the destruction he had caused and his nonchalant attitude was jarring. He approached Madame Evelyn, bowing respectfully, his face a picture of calm and control.
Madame Evelyn, does this mean I'm a wolf prince now?
Good boy. The ceremony will be held in a few days. Go rest for now.
Zane Martel nodded and turned to leave, but Katie stopped him, her expression softening, her eyes filled with a mix of relief and admiration.
Wait, I'll send you back.
As they left, the others stood in stunned silence, the reality of what had just transpired slowly sinking in. Madame Evelyn issued orders, her tone firm and unyielding, leaving no room for argument.
Announce that someone has replaced Damon as the Wolf Prince.
Klain chuckled coldly as he watched her leave, a sinister smile playing on his lips. His mind raced with thoughts of the implications of Zane Martel's actions and what it could mean for their future. The chaos and unpredictability of recent events played in his favor, opening up new avenues for manipulation and power. His eyes glinted with a mix of curiosity and malevolence as he pondered the possibilities.
Larry Shaw, who are you?
Alone, Master Gideon stood, his fists clenched so tightly that his nails drew blood. His hatred for Zane Martel was palpable, but now he faced an impossible dilemma. His thoughts swirled with anger and confusion, trying to reconcile what had just happened. The image of the shattered statue and the stone gate loomed large in his mind, an unwelcome reminder of his loss of control. His breathing was ragged, and his heart pounded furiously in his chest as he replayed the scene over and over. Master Gideon's mind was a storm of emotions. He had been so certain of Larry Shaw's defeat, so sure that the test would break him. Yet the boy had emerged not only unscathed but triumphant, with the ancient statue crumbling before him. It was a sign, but of what? Gideon's grip on power was slipping, and the realization cut him deeply.
Larry Shaw, did you really become a wolf prince? Damn it!
His eyes burned with anger as he realized that once Zane Martel was officially the Wolf Prince, he would be untouchable. The thought left Master Gideon in a state of turmoil. The future seemed uncertain, and the balance of power had shifted dramatically. His plans, his carefully constructed plans, were unraveling, and he felt helpless to stop it. The air around him felt heavy, thick with the weight of his own desperation and fury.
Haha, God must be playing tricks on me.
As the scene closed, the spectators, once vocal and animated, were now silent, their eyes reflecting the same mix of fear and anticipation that had gripped Master Gideon. In just 3 days, the coronation ceremony of the Wolf Prince would take place. Nearly 100,000 disciples of the Dark Wolf Hall awaited to witness Zane Martel's ascent. The air was thick with anticipation as the disciples prepared for the grand event that would change the course of their future. The ceremony was not just a mere formality. It was a symbol of power, unity, and the unyielding spirit of the Dark Wolf Hall. The entire region was abuzz with excitement, with disciples traveling from far and wide to witness this historic moment. The following morning, Eric Helm visited Zane Martell, a smirk on his face. The sun shone brightly, casting long shadows across the Martell mansion's courtyard. The air was filled with the scent of blooming flowers and the distant sound of disciples training. The Martell mansion, a grand structure with intricate carvings and lush gardens, stood as a testament to the family's legacy. Birds chirped melodiously, adding to the serene ambience of the morning.
Zane, you've really struck gold, becoming the Wolf Prince, huh? I'm jealous.
Haha. If you're so envious, why not try for it yourself?
Eric Helm's smile turned wry, his eyes narrowing slightly as he crossed his arms over his chest. His playful demeanor masked the intense pride he felt for his friend. Eric's journey had been one of relentless effort and perseverance, much like Zane's. The bond they shared was forged through countless trials and battles, making this moment all the more significant.
Does he think any Tom, Dick, or Harry could become Wolf Prince?
Eric Helm's cultivation had reached the 9th stage of the intermediate level, on the brink of breaking into the advanced level. Despite this, he remained grounded, knowing the challenges ahead. Zane Martell, though surprised by Eric Helm's speed, was curious about his friend's methods. Eric had always been a source of inspiration, his determination and drive unmatched.
Eric, when I become Wolf Prince, I'll get you into Dark Wolf Hall. You can explore Sky Spring Land.
Eric Helm shook his head, his determination evident in his expression. He was not one to be easily swayed, always seeking the next adventure, the next challenge. Sky Spring Land, known for its mystical energies and unparalleled cultivation opportunities, was indeed tempting, but Eric's heart yearned for the unknown.
No, I need adventure. There's more out there for me. Though Sky Spring Land does sound intriguing.
All right, you'll have the right to enter Sky Spring Land alone.
A knock interrupted them. Katie's excited voice came from outside. The door creaked open, revealing her beaming face and the group of formidable warriors standing behind her. Each warrior radiated a powerful aura, their presence imposing. Katie's excitement was palpable, her eyes sparkling with anticipation.
Is Larry Shaw here?
Zane Martell opened the door wider to find Katie, accompanied by 20 warriors, each exuding a powerful aura. The strongest among them, Kevin White, stood at the front, and with his stern demeanor and formidable energy, nodded respectfully. He had a reputation for being unwavering in his duties and exceptional in combat. Mason Harper, standing beside him with a confident smirk, was known for his strategic mind and sharp reflexes. Each warrior had a unique story, a journey that had led them to this moment, standing as protectors of the new Wolf Prince.
Katie, what's going on?
This is Kevin White at the 3rd stage of the advanced level, and this is Mason Harper.
Zane Martell, bewildered, listened as Katie introduced each warrior. Kevin White, with his stern demeanor and formidable energy, nodded respectfully. Mason Harper, with a confident smirk, acknowledged Zane with a slight bow.
So, why are they here?
To be your bodyguards.
Zane Martell pulled Katie inside, closing the door behind them.
Bodyguards? Why? I don't need them.
All Wolf Princes have guards. These men are ready to lay down their lives for you.
Zane Martell remembered the guards he'd killed at the mountain. He frowned, contemplating the necessity of such protection.
Do you have guards too?
Of course.
Zane Martell nodded, moved by the gesture, realizing the importance of having trusted warriors by his side.
I'm Larry Shaw. From now on, I'm your master.
The guards, led by Kevin White, bowed deeply.
We pay our respects to you.
You'll be the Sharp Saber team. Kevin, you're the captain. Distribute these medicinal pills among your men.
Zane Martell handed over rainbow-colored celestial life pills, each one a precious resource for enhancing strength and vitality. 3 days later, the entire Dark Wolf Hall buzzed with anticipation. Wolf City brimmed with disciples, all eager for the coronation at Sunsky Square. The usually quiet streets were now bustling with excitement, filled with vendors selling celebratory items and disciples discussing the upcoming event. The entire Dark Wolf Hall was abuzz with rumors and excitement about the upcoming coronation. In the crowd, disbelief and excitement spread as whispers about Zane Martell's human origins and his victory over Damon spread like wildfire.
Hey, have you heard the latest? The rising Wolf Prince is called Larry Shaw. And get this, he is not a member of the Demon Clan, but a human.
What? A human? Are you absolutely sure you're not mistaken? How in the world could the Dark Wolf Hall elect a human as Wolf Prince?
Someone exclaimed. There were hundreds of thousands of disciples in the Dark Wolf Hall, and nearly half of them were from the Demon Clan. Not all of them came from the Northern Demon Country. However, within Dark Wolf Hall, the Demon Clan members and humans were not necessarily enemies. They kept a generally peaceful relationship with each other. Despite that, there was an unspoken rule amongst all of their hearts, and that was the Wolf Prince had to be someone from the Demon Clan. There was no way a human could become a Wolf Prince.
Moreover, I've also heard that this Larry Shaw managed to kill Damon, the former Wolf Prince. He was bestowed the title after passing the test. Can you believe it?
What? No way, are you serious?
A horse-faced man opened his mouth wide in disbelief. No one who heard this news initially could believe it. Several loud and clear bells sounded in the sky above the Dark Wolf Hall. In the middle of the Sun Sky Square, 3 old men slowly walked up. Of course, these 3 were the Grand Elders with the highest status in Dark Wolf Hall after the sect leader. The Grand Elders were powerful, able to overlook all living things. They walked up, sitting on the 3 wooden chairs in the middle, facing the front. Behind them, there were 9 tables with separate seats. These were reserved for the remaining 9 Wolf Princes and Princesses. Katie was among them. Suddenly, a middle-aged man walked up to the stage and said,
"It is now time to begin the coronation ceremony for the new prince. Larry Shaw, please come on stage."
He's coming, look over there.
Countless people's hearts were surging, and they were extremely excited. Under everyone's gaze, 21 people stepped onto the stage. In the middle, Zane Martell was wearing black armor. He was in good spirits, and there was an overbearing killing intent between his eyebrows. Of course, the remaining 20 people were his sharp saber team.
Greetings to the 3 Grand Elders. It is an honor to stand before you today.
Zane Martell stopped in front of the 3 Great Elders, cupped his hands, and was about to kneel. However, Madame Evelyn quickly stood up and supported Zane as she spoke in a soft voice.
Now there's no need for that. Even our ancestors wouldn't have you bowing down before us. How could the 3 of us possibly accept your bow down?
With those words, the stage was set for the next chapter in Zane Martell's journey, filled with promise and uncertainty. The anticipation in the air was almost tangible, as everyone present awaited the unfolding of this new era. Zane Martell stood before the 2 elders, one fat and the other skinny, who nodded knowingly. The air was thick with expectation, and Zane could feel the weight of countless eyes upon him. He had anticipated a ceremony filled with formalities, a moment that would solidify his place within the Dark Wolf Hall. Yet as he looked at the elders, their expressions were not ones of rigid tradition, but of something different, something almost conspiratorial.
I don't need to kneel?
His voice echoed in the hushed silence that had fallen over the massive assembly of disciples. It was a question laced with genuine confusion, for every Wolf Prince before him had adhered to this ancient custom. His eyes darted around, seeking any indication that this was some form of elaborate jest or test.
No need, no need.
Madame Evelyn's swift motion and reassuring words did little to quell the simmering unease among the spectators. As she helped Zane to his feet, the collective gasp from the crowd was almost palpable. The 100,000 disciples who had gathered in anticipation now watched with hearts filled with frustration and minds brimming with questions. Their murmurs of discontent and disbelief grew louder, a rolling tide of emotions crashing against the stoic facade of the ceremony. Even the other Wolf Princes and Princesses, figures of authority and tradition, could not mask their feelings of injustice. This deviation from the norm was not just unexpected. It felt like a breach of the very fairness they all held dear.
On what basis?
The muttered question hung in the air, capturing the sentiment of many present. Aller, a Wolf Prince at the 2nd stage of the advanced level, let out a scoff that cut through the crowd's whispers like a knife. His disdain was clear, his eyes narrowing as he fixed his gaze on Zane.
How can a mere human have the right to acquire the same title as us? What a disgrace.
His voice dripped with contempt, challenging not just Zane's presence, but the very decision that had been made. As the words left Oliver's mouth, Madame Evelyn grabbed Zane's hand and stood tall. Her presence was a beacon of authority and assurance amid the rising storm of emotions.
I announce that from today onwards, Larry Shaw will become the 10th Wolf Prince in the Dark Wolf Hall. His name will be Stephen. He will be responsible for keeping the peace around the borders of Dark Wolf Hall from now on.
The proclamation hung in the air for a heartbeat before the crowd erupted. The chants of Zane's new name, Stephen, echoed off the stone walls, a resounding acceptance that drowned out the earlier murmurs of dissent.
Stephen.
Zane stood there, absorbing the magnitude of the moment. He knew the title Stephen was not merely a name, it was a symbol of unity, a mark that aligned him with the head of the sect. Despite his initial reservations about adopting this surname, he understood its significance and accepted it as a necessary formality. Every Wolf Prince had a defined role within the Dark Wolf Hall. Aaron managed the rigorous entrance exams for new disciples, ensuring only the best were admitted. Katie, with her meticulous nature, handled the complex daily affairs that kept the sect running smoothly. Now Zane was entrusted with the crucial task of maintaining the peace around the borders, a role previously held by the revered, but now deceased Damon.
Prepare his seat.
The order was given and a chair was promptly brought forward for Zane. It was placed beside the 9 existing Wolf Princes and Princesses, a physical manifestation of his newfound status. Zane took his seat, feeling the weight of his new responsibilities settle upon his shoulders. The middle-aged man on the stage, who had been overseeing the proceedings, stepped forward with a flourish. His voice, filled with excitement, carried over the crowd.
Next, the competition begins.
The square buzzed with excitement. Traditionally, a new Wolf Prince's subordinates would compete in a court battle. The air was thick with anticipation, and the crowd's energy was palpable. Disciples and spectators alike were on the edge of their seats, eager to witness the displays of skill and strength that were to come. This was not just a battle of physical prowess, but a test of loyalty and honor. The court battle was a significant event, symbolizing the new Wolf Prince's acceptance and the beginning of his responsibilities.
Court battle.
An arena was quickly set up. The square, already buzzing with excitement, seemed to vibrate with the collective energy of the crowd. Workers moved swiftly, erecting the arena with practiced efficiency. Wooden beams were hammered into place and the floor was swept clean. The center of the square transformed into a battleground, surrounded by rows of eager spectators. Banners fluttered in the wind, bearing the insignias of the various Wolf Princes and Princesses. The atmosphere was charged with expectation.
Which Wolf Prince or Princess would like to send their subordinate up first?
The middle-aged man overseeing the proceedings stood tall, his voice carrying over the noise of the crowd. His eyes scanned the assembled Wolf Princes and Princesses, waiting for one to step forward. There was a moment of silence, a breath held by all, as the Wolf Princes exchanged glances, gauging each other's willingness to go first.
Let me do it first. Go.
Oliver's sneer was evident as he stepped forward, breaking the silence with his confident declaration. His guard, standing tall and imposing, responded immediately.
Yes, sir.
The guard leaped into the ring, greeted by cheers despite his low cultivation at the first stage of the advanced level. He landed with a thud, his boots kicking up dust as he straightened up and surveyed his surroundings. The crowd's reaction was a mix of admiration and skepticism, aware of his lower cultivation level, but impressed by his confidence.
Let me set the mood for everyone.
A strong man beside an elegant Wolf Princess stepped into the ring. They greeted each other, swords drawn. The clash was explosive, the air filled with the sounds of battle. Sparks flew as their blades met, and the crowd leaned forward, eyes wide with excitement. Suddenly, Oliver's subordinate sword movements grew more powerful. The guard's initial confidence seemed to transform into a more focused intensity. His attacks became sharper, more precise, and each swing of his sword seemed to carry more weight.
Charge!
With a decisive slice, the opponent was covered in blood. The crowd gasped collectively, their excitement mixed with a touch of horror at the sight of blood. The opponent staggered back, clutching his wound, his face pale with shock.
I lose.
The crowd erupted in cheers. Despite the Dark Wolf Hall's status as the fourth faction in the Eastern Palm, battles between advanced-level practitioners were a rare spectacle. The display of skill and power was a reminder of the prowess that defined the Wolf Princes and their subordinates. The victor glanced at Oliver, who nodded in approval. The guard turned to Zane, his eyes gleaming with challenge and confidence.
Your Highness, Stephen, today is your big day. Why don't you send someone to come up and have fun?
Katie frowned, sensing Oliver's scheme. Her eyes narrowed as she considered the implications of the challenge. It was clear that Oliver intended to embarrass Zane, to undermine his authority and confidence on his very first day.
Why don't you let my men replace Stephen? He has just taken charge of his men.
Katie, I know you care about Stephen, but today is his big day. Shouldn't he have some fun too? Could it be that Stephen doesn't have anyone to send?
The crowd whispered, understanding Oliver's intention to embarrass Zane. The murmurs spread like wildfire, and the atmosphere grew heavy with anticipation and curiosity.
Every new Wolf Prince gets a hard time. It's tradition. Stephen will be humiliated like the others.
Zane, seeing through Oliver's plan, turned to his team. His gaze was steady, and his voice was calm, masking the underlying tension.
Who among you wants to go up and play? It doesn't matter even if you lose, as long as you don't get hurt.
Eric Helms stepped forward, his expression determined.
Zane, why don't you let me have a try?
The team tried to dissuade him, concern evident in their voices.
Mr. Eric, he's only at the first stage of the advanced level. You're at the 9th stage of the intermediate level.
But Zane and Eric shared a knowing smile, a silent understanding passing between them.
Very well, Eric, go ahead.
Okay, let me do it.
Eric stepped into the arena, causing the crowd to gasp. The surprise was palpable, and whispers spread quickly through the spectators.
A 9th stage of the intermediate level against an advanced level? Is this a joke?
Oliver's expression darkened, fists clenched. His eyes blazed with anger as he glared at Zane and Eric.
Stephen, what do you mean by this? Are you looking down on me? How dare you send a 9th stage intermediate level piece of trash into the arena?
For someone in the advanced level, a practitioner in the 9th stage of the intermediate level was nothing more than a piece of trash that they could take out with a flick of their wrists. Zane Martell had asked Eric Helm to step forward in front of so many people. Wasn't he poking fun at Oliver?